Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
The Roses were living the dream.
To you, my darling.
No, to you.
Until it all came crashing down.
You got fired.
Fired?
On August 29th, stop.
You stop!
And see The Roses. Rated R. In theaters everywhere, August 29th.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. When you visit the doctor, you probably hand over your insurance, your ID, and contact details. It's just one of the many places that has your personal info. And if any of them accidentally expose it, you could be at risk for identity theft. LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second. If you become a victim, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Hi, this is Tony Ruggiero, and you're listening to the Tour Coach Podcast. These are a collection of conversations, roundtable discussions, interviews with friends, people I meet, people I teach, folks that come to see us, people that I teach with, respect and admire, all from around the world of golf. If you're a golf nut, a golf junkie, you love golf instruction, or maybe you just want a little entertainment, you're in the right place. We've got over 200 conversations out there available for you now on the Tour Coach, and I'm excited as we head into 2024. Our goal is to bring you more content each and every week and help all of you enjoy and play the game of golf better. Special thanks to my sponsors that have all been with me for such a long time. Thanks to McConnell Automotive, Mitch McConnell and the folks at McConnell Automotive, and the folks at Bushnell Golf. Couldn't do any of it, especially pro work, without them. Vineyard Vines, keeping us looking good and always taking care of us at all the retreats. And, of course, Shrixon and Cleveland Golf and the folks there, whether it's Chip Holcomb, Eddie Dry, Mason Prang, Noel Zavada, Roddy McDonald, all of them, everybody that has been part of our journey with Shrixon Cleveland Golf for over 23 years, I believe it is now. So, and also want to welcome one of the new sponsors to the Dew Sweepers and the Tour Coach Podcast, and that would be Visor Skincare and our folks, the Franklins, who are been Dew Sweepers and fans of us for a long time, and it is by far the best skincare and sunscreen out there. So make sure you check them out as well. And hope you enjoy this season of the Tour Coach and what we've got going on. We're looking forward to bringing you some great stuff, and enjoy this conversation here on the Tour Coach. All right, so sitting in with me here, a little more discussion, content, a little quieter than last night from the PGA show. Rick Fehr, who we've had on before. I'm a huge follower of you on Twitter, X, whatever the heck we call it now.
Right.
17 years on the PGA Tour? Am I right about that?
That's correct. Came to a slow death about 17 years in.
Been teaching a bunch. You went from playing. You were an agent for a while also, if I'm not mistaken.
I was. I started off in 2003 teaching, jumped in, had a short gig as a director of golf GM, and then tried to make a comeback, and then moved into sports agency. So I was a sports agent for about 7 years.
Very few things more questionable than golf instructors. Agents would be up there.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah. Boy, and it's changed now it's like a team sport negotiating huge contracts, right?
Totally different deal, especially, you factor in all the, I think now, too, with the changing landscape with LIV and NIL. These guys got to be young guys that have a lot of potential, got to be pretty business savvy coming out.
Absolutely. And so that sport, I left long before that NIL stuff, and it's like, it's the professional entry starts earlier, so to speak.
So, all right, let's talk about, we talked about a year ago. So, you're teaching a bunch of good young players up there. I follow you. Talk to me a little about the last year and as you've continued to develop, and not develop as an instructor is not the right word, but continue down the path of being a coach and a teacher. I love the stuff you put out there on Twitter because it's so much. You obviously make people better, but a lot of it's about learning to play golf better. And
100%. And, I'm fine with the word developing. Like, I'm not ashamed. I think, shoot, man, I feel like I stack up fine against, all the greats like you and all that. My clientele's different being in Seattle, right? I mean, it's like I don't work with quite as many, sitting on the edge of the playing on tour type of player. And a lot of the folks I work with are just weekend golfers. But the developing, I'll never stop. I mean, I've always got stuff to learn. And my passion is to learn as much about everything as possible and then figure out how it all works together and make it as simple as possible. And I know your model, you've got a fantastic team, right? So you got specialists all around you. And I refer people out when it comes to fitness and TPI stuff and whatever else. But I'm kind of a standalone, so I got to be able to know enough about everything to be effective. And I love it.
So when you look at it from... I like listening to you, talk to you, because you come from a player's perspective, right? Mm-hmm. So do you think, how different is instruction now versus when you were playing?
A lot, quite a bit. And I think for the most part, it's almost all good, right? I mean, like I'm not... no way I want to be standing in the way or, voice a disagreement with advancements, with, measurement and the whole thing. But ultimately, I feel like sometimes I don't want to move away from the human element, because that is a human being with emotions and everything else that's fighting for their lives at times and whatever. It's like, it's hard to measure that. I mean, I actually have an EEG wearable, that I'll use once in a while. Right, just to, and like I don't use it as often as I thought I would, but it indicates I understand that, when that heart rate gets jacked up, and you're breathing hard, working on your breathing, but you're going to have to hit a shot when you can't control it. I mean, so that gets more into technique. It's like I hate to use the word choke shot, but I'll tell you what, stand on 18 at TPC Sawgrass,
you better have a shot.
Yeah, you better have a shot.
So when you go back to your playing days, like, how do you relay, if you can, how to handle the pressure, how to handle the stuff like you're talking about, the heart rate, the breathing, all that stuff. Like, to me, that's stuff you learn from playing a little bit. And if you can get help from somebody that's been in there, that's the stuff that, like, I don't think a TrackMan tells you, right? Or a Gears doesn't tell you what your asshole's going to feel like on the 18th with a one-shot lead, right?
Yeah. Well, and one of the cool things that I'm seeing is, like, there's more and more technology that's going to allow us to measure what's happening when you're away from our studios, and that sort of thing, right? And so that's good. It's like, so what, what's the tendency when the heart rate goes up and all that stuff? But I think I want my players to be very self-sufficient, right? If you don't need me ever again, I've been a success. You know what I mean? And I just feel like, we're an age. I'm 60 years of age, so I didn't have Google sitting there will give me an answer and whatever. But I do think we have. We're moving in this era where, hey, AI will write it for you, whatever. But I think that when you're out there, we send you out into the wilderness, you got a pocket knife, and there's bears, and you got to return alive. I think it's I guess a strange analogy, but I think that, man, when you're playing for something you care deeply about, and you stand on that first tee and you start seeing all the trouble instead of the middle of the fairway, and I don't know. I think that combined, if we take all the folks, you have a strong team, that addresses those things, and I think we need to graduate players into self-sufficiency, and each person needs something different. It's like, there's technical stuff that just will not survive.
How do you? I love that angle and want to go down that road. How do we help players become more self-sufficient? I've tried. That's something I strive to do, right? And I think some players are harder to get that way than others. You have players that'll send you 10 videos every day, right?
Right.
Shit didn't change that much from yesterday to today.
Right.
How do you help players become more self-sufficient? And then to follow that up, you came from an era where, we're close to the same age. Like the guys I watched, like you coming up, there were a lot of different golf swings. You didn't see as many. I don't think you saw as many teachers out on tour.
No.
So were players were they more self-sufficient then than they are now?
They can afford to bring you out, Tony, now. The money sucked back then relatively, but so that may be part of it. But the industry of coaching and instruction has evolved, so that's not a bad thing at all, right? But I, maybe I mentioned it, I don't want to get in trouble, but in our previous conversation a year ago, whatever, like I don't understand some of the element. I think there's talented coaches out there, but it's like, what the heck is a putting coach doing out there every week with his players? I mean, that's the simplest part of the game. Now, I was really good at it, but it's like I think sometimes, you gotta. Am I holding it tight? Am I holding it whatever with my 5-footer I got to make? There's some basic elements of that, but I think that the difference would be most of us didn't even see our swings growing up. You know what I mean? No. And so the mission was different, right? So it's like what's the task? Task is you learn to hit the ball before the club hits the ground. You center of face, control the face. I never thought in those terms. It's like, but I looked at where the heck's the ball going, and what does the club need to do differently to do what I want the ball to do? And obviously, there's supporting structure that makes that highly likely. Or hey, you luck out once in a while. So, I mean, there's nowadays. I just think we're on a great path. I think there's far less bad instruction and coaching.
Agree.
And so
I think most of us all have. I mean, I think that the evolution of obviously the TrackMan stuff with all the D-plane stuff and the biomechanics and the 3D stuff is made where, I mean, unless you've been under a rock, right? I think most people that take it seriously, what we do, have a lot of the same info, right? I mean, we may have different preferences or think we get to places in different ways, but don't you agree with that? Like, I mean, you don't see too many wacky stuff.
You're right, and other than maybe the present debate about hitting a standard pitch shot, but that
plenty of arguments about that around.
Yeah. So, but I was at Open Forum, 2 nights ago.
How was that?
It's great. I mean, I learned something, and it's interesting. I just think we have different approaches. Like I might have a preference to see somebody figure it out without even knowing. We're going to measure it, we're going to whatever, but often by, like I use pressure mat a fair amount, and somebody's got a trace, they're getting out to that lead toe, and they're hung up and can't control club face, and if they've played, if they're a decent player, I'd say, well, let's hit some freaking slices that start left of the target. And, of course, the trace gets linear. I prefer linear trace. And all of a sudden it's like, I mean, there's ways, I don't want to call them hacks, but it's like, hey, let's give them a task and say, hey, there you see, whatever. Right. I mean, I've done that. I don't officially work with tour players, but when I was teaching at TPC Scottsdale, of course, I see the guys and, they may say, hey, I say, how's it going? It's like, man, I got kind of the two-way miss going. Well, I know what the hell that means. Sorry, the language.
Yeah, no,
I mean, it's like, I know what's going on. I said, well, let's see it start. It can be a buck ugly slice, but let's see you hit one that starts left of target and curves right. And usually 10 swings in, they're done. They're fixed, right? Because they know how the heck.
Good.
They're already good, right? So that's a different, and I think that. And I'm obviously watching from afar. I'm not out there on tour with you, but I think sometimes, I'm sure it's you, but I feel like sometimes it's like, there's a different pathway, man. You don't have to change, take away. You don't have to, and when you take a really good player and you make a significant change, whatever, there's got to be a really good reason for it, because it's going to be a while before that's going to show up at the moment, right? So. That's probably the former player influence, and I might overcompensate in that direction in my teaching. But that's because, and we've talked about before, my career kind of was ruined by changing my golf swing, and so.
Do you see as many players watching from afar that go to try to retool their whole golf swings anymore?
I'm sorry, for whom?
Just
what
like
type of player?
I mean, just watch it from afar.
Yeah.
Tour players, good college players, people that are really aspiring to get better. I mean, I always tell folks there's two type of teaching. Like if you come to me and you're 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and bunch of talent, and you really want to be good, like, well, I might change more stuff to match things, right?
Right.
But if you come to me and you're 25 or you're 27 and you're already maybe in college, out of college, really good, and you're just trying to refine things, or you're a tour player, like that to me is totally different. Like that's like what,
Yeah,
right?
I'm with you.
Versus like, I the thing that I think hurts players is when teachers try to put their stamp on a player, right? Like,
yeah, man, I don't want to judge anybody's motivation.
You know what I'm saying,
yeah,
right?
oh, yeah.
Like trying to put their philosophy to it, right? So, but just, anyways, I mean, I think that I think there's different types of coaching. Is what I'm saying. Like, and that's why I think having been a player at such a high level is such an advantage for young people when they come to you, because like if they're already pretty good and they got an aptitude for it, like just learning hacks, like you said, isn't necessarily the right word, but some of
not
the
even shortcuts, but what's the most efficient,
trade, right? Like how to just fix things on the fly,
right? Yeah, 100%. And I agree with you completely. It's like I'll have people come. I think I'm pretty approachable, so I,
for sure.
And comfortable with people are comfortable with me. And when I get a player coming to me, and it might be a struggling D1 woman golfer that comes to me in town in Seattle, and it's like, okay, what are we doing here? Do you just want to make the lineup, or what professional golf? What are you pursuing here? And I need to know where they're trying to go, right? So when you're I think when you're talking about 12, 13, 14, they want to play college golf and maybe play professionally one day. I said, well, now I know where you got to go, right? Where we got to get you, right? And if you look at this, their mechanics and whatever, and say, well, there's literally no way that's going to work, then we're going to be more aggressive, right, with change. But if I feel like, hey, is that portion of what I'm looking at and watching, or their performance, can that get them there? You know what I mean? And right, so that's evaluating. Okay, what are the shortcomings and that sort of thing, and right, and if it's, I don't know, what do you think if you got a 14, 15-year-old player, let's say a young man?
Yep.
How much club head speed is that? What's the minimal they got to get to for when 3 years they're going to enter college? Okay, and then, but we know the pipeline coming out, it's going to be faster and faster, right? So the PGA Tour is going to see that. Right now, the average is, all the young guys are going to be faster. And so how far do we got to go? Like, okay, we say, okay, we're good. Speed's not the issue now. Now we're working on club face control and trajectory and, whatever. And I've got an overwhelming number of juniors coming to me with, they're more than on track with club speed, but they have no idea how to hit an iron shot.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, that's my philosophy when it comes to developing players, is I feel like my job, we're talking like the 12, 13, 14, or like, hey, we're going to help you build good fundamentals, pretty good club face, right? Get it to swing, it could be a little into out, a little out to in, whatever, but not crazy. And develop your pivot both ways to fit you. And then, and then I'm pretty honest with them and the parents, and I say, like, okay, like once we get to this point, then it's kind of up to you to get in the gym, to do things with it that make you strong enough, big enough, fast enough, stable enough to do it.
You're working on the limiters, like you can only go so fast with a certain body. And
I know that there's people that have tons of success, and they just go after trying to get them to create speed first, right? And I don't necessarily think that either side's better. That's just the process I've gone through. And like you talked about team stuff, like I'm fortunate to have Morgan, who's great, with me all the time teaching there in Mobile. And then you've got Colby Touye, who works with the best players in the world down there at Jupiter, and Aaron McConley, who works with Colby, is always with me. Like, so I've got access to that, right, to put these kids with that. And so it works. It works for me, and I've just found, like, for most of the time, when you take a 13, 14, 15-year-old kid and you get them learning to move their body correctly, generally the speed starts. We've had some kids. I've had some guys I've taught played, SEC golf, and they were small, man. They weren't ever going to hit it very hard, right? Yeah. And, like, that's a struggle. I mean, and that's a hard conversation to have because they really want it. Like, hey, and you care about them. You're trying hard. Ultimately, they let you go because they think somebody else has got the magic bullet to be able to get. But, like, you know what? If nowadays you only hit it off the tee, you hammer it, and it's 285, 290. Like in your day, my day, that was great, right? Man, that's hard to look per se. That, you know what? It's going to be a struggle.
Yeah, you got. If you happen to sneak into a tour card, you might make a living on Harbor Town and Riviera and whatever, and you just the big stuff is going to be tough. And I was talking to Scott Fawcett last night, and in the conversation I described, like, I played really well in what's now the Amex. I finished second a couple years in a row, and I went deep.
It's because you're a good putter out there.
Well, yeah, that's
that
true.
helps out there.
Well, no, putting, that doesn't matter that much, Tony.
Oh, right, yeah.
But no, I was. The driver never escaped me. I mean, I was never leaving play. I mean, I was average length, but I grew up on stuff. I don't know if you've seen courses in the Seattle Pacific Northwest. I mean, you got 35 yards from tree limb to tree limb and stuff like that. And so I could shape it, it was in the air. And so I was hitting driver, slicing it around the corner on those little desert courses. And so I was the long hitter that week because the other guys were hitting 2 irons to the corner, and I'm sneaking around, shaping it. And so I now had a strokes gain advantage with the driver, which is rare.
Right.
And so I just shortened up the golf course with that week. But you're right that it's like, and it is sad. I think you're referencing, hey, you got a great young kid, just small. The genetics say you're going to be small. And it's like,
I mean, not everybody can play in the NBA.
No.
Right.
And going back to that sports agent thing, I can't remember what year it was, maybe 2008 or something like that. And I get a call from a rep, and I'm pitching a client. It's a club equipment manufacturer. And the first question was, how big is he? And that was like, okay, we've entered that zone, right? I mean, that wasn't a first leading question, but it's like they're looking at, hey, the odds are better for success if you're big and strong and the whole thing, right? So, the game's changed, and the money's attracting great athletes.
For sure, they're better athletes. What do you think about this ball rollback, and what will that do to folks like us that develop juniors and develop players? I personally don't think it matters a bit. Just tell us what it is. I mean, it's like, obviously you're high speed players. We don't know yet, but let's say it costs them 15 yards or something like that. If it's the same across the board, I'd say probably more if this ball happens to behave differently on a misshit or spins more to go offline. I think that's more of an influence than pulling you back. I mean, honestly, a lot of it is made, I think, just in theory, people have opposition. Some people are just anti-regulation across the board. Right. They're that way in every part of life.
Right. And I get it if that's your viewpoint and whatever. But I just, I think it's an overreaction, and I know I don't fully understand the economic thing for the industry and whatever. But my feeling is like, hey, if you have a competitive sport, I mean, baseball, I know former president of the Mariners and Seattle Mariners and stuff, and they're working with the ball all the time. Is it you store them in humidity? Do you because how they want more balls in play. This strikeout home run thing is in their mind less entertaining, so they want more balls in play, and just we're seeing action and base runners and stuff, and so they're manipulating that, and that's really what professional golf. Professional golf seems to not want it, right? Obviously, but the USGA is concerned, right? And so I just think that guess what? They're not asking me.
Yeah.
Just tell me what it's going to be and let's go that direction.
Well, I think that what they've done, I mean, I don't know all of the details, but I don't know that the rollbacks enough that it's going to it's not like it's going to take us back to 1985.
It's not the golf ball, by the way.
Right. Oh,
I hit the same ball with my old driver, and I hit my new one as 30 yards at my club head speed. I mean, that's the golf club. But they're not touching that. It's like the economy.
If they were going to do something, the time to do it would have been about 10 years ago.
Oh, sure, because now, changing the rules on our kids, saying we used to let you do one thing, and it's just nobody wants that.
Well, that's what's going to be interesting too. Is you got kids every year we have somebody from a high school junior golfer play in a tour event, make a cut or something.
Yeah.
So you're going to have the rules for high school. I mean, are they going to be? It's,
oh yeah, that the bifurcation thing, that was a problem,
right?
For sure.
And then too, if the tour doesn't go along with it, and then you got to play a different ball at the U.S. Open. I mean, or whatever.
That's a mess. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. Well, man, I appreciate you taking the time to come last night. It was a blast hanging out with you.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, that was fun.
It was a good time. Always good getting all those teachers together. I think the more we could do a relaxed setting, everybody hanging out.
It was awesome to put faces, including yours, with the voices, of your team, and that I hear, obviously listen to your tour coach all the time, and I appreciate you having me on.
No, it was great, and we'll keep doing this, and next time I have a reason to come to the Northwest, I'm going to just come hang out.
If you come and you don't stop by, I'm going to be...
No, I promise you, when I get to Seattle... only place I've ever been in Seattle is I've been to Chambers Bay twice up there for the amateur and the U.S.
And it's probably the least representative of our golf courses. But
that's what
the only one.
Says.
That's
what everybody says too.
And it's like the only one big enough to handle.
But it was beautiful.
Game.
The views were beautiful.
Yeah.
But man, you're doing awesome stuff. It's great. It's fun to watch.
It.
Appreciate you sitting in.
Thanks.
I hope you enjoyed this edition of The Tour Coach and this conversation that we brought to you about playing, learning, and teaching the game of golf. We'll be back next week with another edition of The Tour Coach. In between now and next week, make sure you follow us on our social channels. You can always find me at The Dew Sweeper on Instagram, or go to our YouTube page where you'll see a scene and a video from my teachings daily on our YouTube channel. You can find that by looking up Tony Ruggiero and the Dew Sweepers on YouTube. Until then, make sure you follow and check out Everything Tour Coach and all our sponsors, Srixon Cleveland Golf, Bushnell, Vineyard Vines, and Buick GMC. I'll be back next week to help all of us appreciate, learn, and enjoy the game of golf. Hi, this is Tony Ruggiero. And look, recently, several teachers I know and several players have had some scares with skin cancer. In fact, I recently went and saw a dermatologist here in town, and I had a couple things frozen off, eyelid, my face, my earlobe, and not getting any younger. And I know it's getting to that time of the season where it's cooler, but look, being in the sun is a real deal, and I've not been very good, to be totally honest, my whole career at using it at all, because I didn't like how greasy it was, how hard it was to get off your hands, how it clogged up my pores. And then I found this sunscreen, Visor Skincare. It's clear. It goes on. It doesn't dry you out. It isn't greasy. It's like you didn't put anything on it. By far, it's the best sunscreen I've ever used. Without a doubt, is the easiest to use. And we've got a discount code for all of you. All you have to do is go to visorskincare.com. Use our code word DewSweeper. visorskincare.com, code word DewSweeper.